So in today's stream, we are going to be doing an operator tier list for ranked. So specifically operators that are good, not just for solo queue, but just in general for ranked operators that you need to be playing, operators that if you bring every round, no one can really complain, operators that are situational per site, and then operators that are just bad. So stuff like that, we're going to be doing an entire stream, an entire tier list, and I'm going to be showing you what I think you should be playing in Vector Glare. With that out of the way, let's get in the video. So this is my tier list. We have bad operators, operators you should never bring in ranked, operators you should never be playing. Situational operators, you have operators that are really, really good, but only on certain sites and certain maps. Otherwise, they just get in the way. Now, these situational operators, if they are good for certain sites and certain maps, are not necessarily worse than the okay. They're not necessarily worse than good, and honestly are better than some of the other ones in the must pick in every round category. So just keep that in mind. If your operator that you like is in situational, it doesn't mean that it's worse than any of the operators above it. It's just they're only good for really certain and specific sites and maps. So with that out of the way, let's get into the tier list. So I think Cav is bad. I've always thought Cav is bad. It's pretty self-explanatory. Her gun selection is ass. If you know that people are playing together, which they usually do, especially in the higher elo, Cav is really only good at punishing people who go into the map by themselves, but usually they have people joining them in the higher elo. They have people who are playing together, so as soon as you down one, you immediately get refragged. So it's just not all that good. And if you do manage to get an interrogation, oh my god, it's wall hacks, it's so good. They just leave or go outside, or they still just contest a gunfight with you and you still lose. So really all not that useful, and there are a lot of other operators that you could be playing that are just way better, bring way more utility, and are way better of team players. Speaking of, I'm gonna put Sledge in the every round operator category. So the every round operator category are operators that you could play every single round and nobody can really complain, and you would still be doing your team justice. Sledge is one of those operators where your sledgehammer is always going to provide utility and value, whether that's through vertical play, whether that's through getting hatches, whether that's through destroying bulletproof utility. You're always going to get utility out of his gadgets. He brings 2 frag grenades as well, and he has an amazing gun selection. So I'm gonna put Sledge in every round. He's always a safe bet. Mira, I'm going to put in situational. Mira is very good when she is used by a very good Mira player, but there are some sites where you just can't play Mira, and if you do, it's really just hindering the team. A great example of a bad site with Mira would be Hookah and Coastline. You can't play Mira there as they're easily shot from anywhere on the roof. They're easily shot from windows. They're easily shootable by Twitch drones, Flores drones, through the vent hole on Cool Vibes. There's a lot of ways you can destroy this Mira. So Mira's not good on that site and only really gets in the way because your teammates are going to be trying to play him and then they just die. So a really good example of a Mira site would be Kitchen and Coastline, where there's not a lot of places you can shoot the Mira unless they get vertical control. But that's like that on any Mira site. If they get vertical control, your Miras are gone. So it's really just, you have to pick your battles with Mira. You cannot bring her every round, but when you do, she's extremely, extremely useful, as you can play off of them, you can get information off of them, etc. So Mira, situational. I'm going to put Ashe in OK. The reason I put Ashe in OK is because you can do Ashe's job with literally anybody else and do it better. So if you want to play Ashe for getting shields, getting utility, you can do it with Zofia, but Zofia brings a 150 round LMG and 2 stuns along with the 2 breaches that Ashe would bring. If you want to bring her for her good gun, again, Zofia, 150 rounds. There's just a lot of better operators that you're going to be able to play. So just don't play Ashe. She used to be really good because she had burn and she had her own means of getting the shield, so you wouldn't need to coordinate to get a shield down. You just burn the ADSs, you shoot your Ashe charge in, and you're fine. But now she doesn't have burn, which makes her entire reason for being picked completely void. So Ashe is okay. If you bring her, it's alright, whatever, Ashe is fine, but there are just 10 times as many operators that you can play that do her job but better. Who's next? Amaru, I'm actually going to put in situational. People don't like Amaru because most players just run in with her gadget and get a kill and die, if that. But you can actually play her really smartly. You can go up hatches in a coordinated push with your team, like on Consulate, she's extremely useful for that. You can go in windows that you've already droned out as a means of fast roam clearing with a lion scan. But In terms of solo queue, she's terrible. Don't bring her because you need a coordinated team to really make her useful. And even then, there's going to be operators that you can bring that do more or the same job, but better. So I'm just going to stick her in the very bottom of situational. I almost want to put her in bad, but there are some kind of useful uses for her if you have a coordinated team. And then we get into our wall denial / wall opening people. You have Habana, always going to be a must pick if she's on the board. Cade, same thing. Maestro, Thermite, Thatcher, Ace, all must picks if you have them up. Bandit, all of them need to be picked if they're on the table because they deny or grant wall access onto the site, which is extremely powerful. It can completely cut off lines of sight through the wall that you get. It can completely deny anybody playing in a certain specific site and is the make or break between losing and winning rounds. So obviously all the hard breachers, all of the wall denials for the hard breach are going to be in the must pick category. Enough said there. Pulse, I want to say, is pretty good. I think he's a little underused, underrated because of his gun selection and because of how unfun he is to play, especially in solo queue ranked. But you can gain a lot of information as Pulse and help your team out a lot, especially in a coordinated stack. If you're constantly calling out pings all the time, you're getting nitro kills, you are constantly telling your team where and when they're pushing, that's extremely powerful. And it can lead your teammates to only holding specific angles where they know the enemies are at and get your teammates some free kills. I think Pulse is amazing, especially in solo queue. You can just use him on your own and he's really good, and I think he needs to be played more. Castle, situational. I'm gonna put up the top of situational though. The reason being is Castle has been showing a lot of potential with himself lately, and people are loving on him a lot more, which I think is great. He now has 4 Castle Barricades, a Super Shorty, and a BP, so I think Castle is amazing, but only on certain sites. A lot of people who are new to the game, or new to Castle in general, are really bad at using his barricades, and really hinder their team more than they help them. And there's certain sites that are just really bad for Castle that are going to be extremely useless, but there are certain sites that are amazing for Castle and make or break the round, so I'm just going to put him in situation. Let's see. Knock, I want to put at the top of bad and at the bottom of situational because there are certain very, very good knock maps. Bank is an extremely good knock map. If you've watched any Pro League, you know that knock is actually the second most banned attacker in Pro League, which may confuse you for a number of reasons, but a lot of information is derived off of cameras, and her ability to completely deny that and to make the crouch walking nerf completely void is extremely, extremely good, and pros just don't want to deal with her. It's the same reason people ban Clash. Clash really isn't all that good. It's more of just an annoyance thing that you don't want to have to think about, just an extra variable that you don't want to have to consider. So Knock, if put in the right hands, if played correctly, can be extremely good, but only on like 2 maps. And if you're solo queuing, it's just not that good because you can always bring somebody that's more helpful. So I kind of want to put her in just the very, very bottom of situational, at the top of bad, pretty much the same thing. Fuse is going to go at the top of okay, bottom of good kind of area. People play Fuse really wrong, and that's why he's so misunderstood. Fuse is one of those operators where if played correctly, again, is extremely useful. You use his fuse charges in order to break utility. You don't use them for kills. I made a fuse guide, which I'll put in the top right here, but essentially, you put them over deployable shields, ADS, and stuff like that, and it's really, really good for burn and flushing out attackers in certain areas. So if you play fuse correctly, you can actually be a complete menace with fuse and get a lot of utility broken, which is how he's meant to be played. But again, there's always going to be operators with coordinated teams that are just doing this job but better. So that's why I'm sticking him in okay. Ying is good. I think her 50 round LMG and her ability to completely make anybody not be able to see is amazing. She has 4 Candelas now, 2 smokes. So as a fragger, she's very good for clearing out rooms and being able to just head clear things. I think she's really underused, especially in ranked, and she's just always a safe bet if you want to play her. Rook is okay. He brings a 2x scope and he gives you more health, but that's literally it. He's just played by people who want to hold long angles or spawn peek, which can be good at times, but this is a utility and strategy game more than it is an FPS game, which a lot of people don't like to admit. So Rook, there's always going to be better operators to play, especially if you're playing him for the health aspect. There's Doc, which I'm going to put in okay for the same reason. And even then, there's a better operator to play, which is Thunderbird, who goes in the good category. So Rook and Doc don't really play him. No reason to. There's just always better operators to play, which is Thunderbird. Thunderbird has an infinite amount of heals at 3 different stations with a pretty okay gun selection. and a nitro cell. So Thunderbird is always a safe bet. I would always pick her up if you really don't have anybody else that you want to play and you're kind of just running around and you want to play aggressively. Thunderbird allows you to do that. Let's see. Capcan I want to put in good. I think if you bring a Capcan every round and you know how to place his traps in places where you know the attackers are going to skip over it, he's always going to be good. And even if they're not falling for your traps, they're either avoiding your traps by going around them or just not pushing them in general, or they're wasting time checking every single door for your traps, wasting utility getting traps, etc. So Capcan is just a very good time waster and a very good annoyance, just like Knock is, in the sense where it's just another thing you have to check. It's another thought that has to be in your head. So I put Capcan in good. Finka, you could pick every single round, and honestly right now is a must pick for the fragger category just because of her adrenal surges and how good they are. She brings a Gone 6, 2 frag grenades, a 100 round LMG that does a ridiculous amount of damage with a great fire rate. I mean, she's just amazing. She's amazing. And then I want to do the same thing with Yana. Maybe top of every round, bottom of must pick, but again, great gun, great damage, okay fire rate, 1.5 times scope, 2 frag grenades, Gone 6. She's just insane. Infinite droning, can burn her Rooney gates. She's just awesome. I mean, Yana and Finka are the best fraggers in the game right now. And if you have anybody that's picking up the hard breach, the next step would be to bring these 2 fraggers. So I'm going to put them in the must pick category. She could also go in the every round category along with Finka, but she's just always going to be amazing. Jaeger, if you pick him every single round, no one's going to complain, but not really a must pick, as there are just certain operators that are going to be better at times, like Wall Denial, but top of every round for sure. I mean, the ability to infinitely deny an amount of grenades for a certain amount of time for utility, for players that are sitting in sight, is great. You're always going to want that. Same for Wamai. I'm going to put him in every round. He's definitely not a must pick like Jaeger might be, as Jaeger just does his job but better. But he can deny a lot of different utility, like a wider variety of utility, as opposed to Jaeger. And the range on his stuff is a lot better, and he has more of it. So Wamai can be played every single round and be extremely useful. His gun selection is amazing. His secondary gadget utility is also amazing. You can pick up either of his pistols, so he can be played in a variety of ways and be useful every single round. Next, let's talk about Aruni. Aruni is one of those operators that could be put in pretty much any category. She could be put in situational, but thinking about it, it's like I don't think there's a certain site that can't have a Rooney on it, as defenders can just walk through it as opposed to castle. So I want to put her in every round. She's amazing. She can punch holes and open up a lot of variation throughout the site. She has those 3 gates that can be reactivated that burn a lot of utility, just like Jaeger ADSs and Wamai discs. She has a really good selection of guns with the 1.5 scope on both of them. So Aruni, if you pick her up every round, no one's really going to complain. She's amazing, very, very versatile, and a great solo queue operator. Valkyrie, I want to put in every round. You can always bring her. She brings 3 very hard to see and very versatile cams, as you can throw them anywhere. And it is extremely, extremely powerful. That's really all I have to say. They tried to nerf her by making it to where you can't throw her cams outside, but even then, 3 almost unseeable cameras that have a wide variety of where you can put them is always going to be amazing. So I want to put her at the top of every round. If you have her, use and abuse her while you can. Buck, I'm going to put in every round. He has a great gun selection with the 1.5. He has the ability to do vertical and just soft destruction in general, just like Sledge, but he can do it ranged, which means he can do it from bottom up instead of just from top down. He also has 2 hard breaching charges, which means if you don't have a Habana player, but you still want vertical control, you can take vertical control and also still get the hatches open. So he has a wide variety of what he can do. He can open up very long angles on vertical holes and is just a great operator in general that you can always pick up and always be useful with. So Buck and Sledge are 2 very good solo queue operators. Flores, I want to say every round. I actually put him in situational last tier list, and I've changed my mind on it. You can always find use out of Flores. You can always find use out of a Gone 6, out of Sledgehammers, out of Zofia utility, and Flores is just like that, but he brings 4 of them and a lot more versatile because it's on a drone. So I find myself, especially on maps like Coastline, where the utility is the only thing stopping from the attackers stomping the defenders. With Flores, you can get tons of barbed wire, a deployable shield, Malusi gadgets, ADSs, etc. Get tons of utility off the board because he has 4 drones, he has 3 flash grenades, he has one of the best ARs in the game. So Flores is just always going to be useful, and if you picked him every single round, nobody's going to complain. Dokkaebi, I want to put in good. Dokkaebi is an extremely underrated operator just because of her ability to completely get every single defender cam on the map. She's an even better counter to Valkyrie than IQ is, which I honestly want to put in the top of OK, because not only can she spot the Valkyrie cams using her phone call ability, but she can also take control of them and then completely shift the tides of the round with defender cams. It makes defenders have to shoot their own cams, which makes them not able to get any information off of you. So she's extremely good. She's very good for roam clearing with her phone call. If you just drone out the initial room that you're going to go into and then you phone call, you now don't need to drone and clear every single room around you. You can just go to where you hear the phone call and then pinch him with, let's say, another teammate, and now you have all of the roamers dead. You have all defender cams. She's extremely easy to play. She has kind of a bad gun selection though, but is one of the better roam clearers in the game. Lion, I'm also going to put in good. I put Lion in, I think, like the bottom of okay or bad in my last tier list. I don't really remember. But Lion is one of those operators that you don't really find use out of him until you know how to use him. His Lion scans, yes, they do make it to where all the defenders have to do to counter it is sit still. But if you know where the defenders are on the roam, or you know where they are as anchoring, you can literally just scan and take all of the map control while they're sitting still, and then now you have a pinch onto an attacker. So it's great for roam clearing, it's great for taking space quickly, it's great for rushes, it's good for post denial whenever they're trying to take diffuser and they're trying to defuse the diffuser and they can't because you have a Lion scan going off, or if they do try, you just know where they are because they're constantly getting pinged. It's great for if your teammates are in the middle of a gunfight, you can scan them and then just give your teammate free information. There's a lot of versatile ways that you can use Lion, and I think overall, if you pick him, he's always going to be helpful towards your team. And then we have Nomad. Nomad is every round borderline must pick. I honestly want to put her in must pick, especially the higher elo you go. She's amazing. She completely denies two of the most powerful and sneaky defender pieces of playstyle in the game, which is running out and flanking. Completely denies it. And if they do try to flank, they're completely immobilized for a few seconds and you get a free kill. So she's extremely good. She brings great weapons. She brings either flashes or breaching charges, which can be extremely versatile anyways. So honestly, like, if you bring her every single round, she's going to be great, but you almost want her every single round because you don't want to get ran out on, you don't want to get flanked. So Nomad is always going to be a must pick in my opinion. Mute and Smoke, I'm going to both place in the every round category. There's an argument to be made that they could be must pick, but there are always just going to be a little bit better of operators to play if you're talking about must picks every single round, like wall denial. So Smoke, I want to put at the very top of every round, as well as Mute. Smoke is the best entry denial operator in the entire game, zero question. Goyo gets in the way a lot. He is extremely harder to use because you actually have to destroy his canisters in order for them to be usable. And then Tachanka, you have to know lineups. Even then, the fire only lasts 5 seconds and people can just run through it. Smoke has utility setup as well, so he can make rotates, he can make head holes, he can make feed holes, he can make vertical play, and he has an SMG-11 and a deployable shield. So he has so much versatility, as well as one of the most annoying gadgets to go up against, that he can be played every single round, borderline must pick, and is always going to be useful. Same for Mute. He has so much versatility with a shotgun. He has a great gun selection, MP5 1.5 times scope. He has the SMG-11. He can also, with the shotgun, make head holes, feet holes, rotates, or vertical holes. He has 4 pieces of drone and utility denial with his mute jammers. Extremely powerful. And overall, if you pick him every single round, it's going to be so annoying going against him and is going to be extremely useful every single round. Speaking of other entry denial operators, let's talk about Tachanka. Tachanka, I'm going to put in the bottom of good, maybe at the top of okay. Actually, I'll just stick him in the bottom of good. Tachanka is good if you know how to use him, but if not, he's awful. Just like Lion, but even Lion, he provides some sort of utility just by pressing a button. But with Tachanka, you have to know lineups. You have to know the rate at which you shoot your fire. You have to constantly be checking to see where you need to shoot your fire at all times. With Smoke, you just kind of put it there and it goes off, and then you can just check another angle. But because Tachanka's fire only lasts 5 seconds, you're constantly checking multiple angles and doing stuff all the time, especially in solo queue. It's just not worth the risk when you can bring so much more with Smoke. But Tachanka does bring an LMG that's really able to open a lot of versatility throughout the site. Again, head holes, feet holes, vertical holes, rotates, but you can just do that with a shotgun and still have a shotgun, as opposed to doing it with an LMG and having a really shitty fire rate that you have to deal with the rest of the round. So Tachanka, bottom of good. I think he's useful in some spots if you're pairing him with a smoke or with a Goyo, but not very good on his. Alibi, I want to put in good as well. Her gun is amazing, 1.5 times scope, very high fire rate, very large magazine size, brings a bailiff for all of the versatility that smoke brings, and she brings a deployable shield. So a lot of versatility, a lot of information, and very good for heavy gun skill players, very versatile, and I think you don't want to bring her every round because there's going to be more useful people to play, but she's just overall very good, and my opinion on her has changed a lot since I last did a tier list. And then I'm also going to put Warden and Thorn in the same category as Alibi for the exact same reason. I know that's very opinionated, but Thorn, again, great gun, great damage on her gun. It's 50 cal, so she can open up head holes and feet holes just like Alibi has with her bailiff. Also, a deployable shield and a very annoying gadget that can be played very well by the right like-minded player and somebody with good gun skill. Warden, same thing, 1.5 times scope on a really good MPX, also brings a deployable shield, completely denies any sort of flashes or smoke plants, and is just very versatile with his deployable shield, so he's just good. Like I said, always going to be better operators to play. That's why he's not in every round or must pick, but if you want to pick him up, nobody's really going to complain. Echo, I want to stick in good. Echo is very underused, but I think he's one of the better operators in the game. He has 2 drones that you can move around, hop up on the roof, and hide in a lot of places. People really don't know how to hide Echo drones anymore because they relied on the invisibility, but you can stick these really thin drones, throw them anywhere you want to, and they'd be extremely useful. He also has 1.5 silenced MP5, extremely good gun. He brings a deployable shield and a bearing 9, and these drones can stun people, deny plants, and do a lot of extra stuff. So Echo is one of those operators that, if put in the hands of a great Echo player, can be extremely useful. Legion I'm going to put at near the top of good. Legion is always going to be useful. His mines provide a large amount of information. You can have so many mines in so many different places that go off, and they provide information on every single possible place that you could think to push, and he's one of the better information and trap operators in the game. He brings a great gun, impact grenades, or a bulletproof camera, and honestly is just extremely easy to pick up and always going to be good. He's just really well rounded, and that's pretty much all I have to say. Melusi, you could argue every round, but I think I'm going to put her in good. After the nerf on her gadget, she's not really a must-pick every round kind of character, but she does have a very good gun selection and is always going to be useful in terms of information, just like Legion is, just a little bit less. And her 3-speed and her MP5 make her very appealing, and I definitely recommend that you pick up this operator. Callie, I'm going to stick in situational, maybe the bottom of okay. There's always going to be better operators to play and better things to do than to pick up a Callie. So let's say Maverick's banned, you play Thatcher. If Thatcher's banned, you play Maverick. If both of them are banned, you can use other pieces of utility like grenades, ash charges, Zofia stuns to get stuff off of the wall as well. And you don't ever really need to pick up a Callie kind of ever, unless you want to sit and spawn with a sniper rifle. But even then, Glaz is better. I want to stick him at the top of okay. Bottom of good is pretty generous, but he's gotten a lot better. He's not bad anymore, which I used to consider him. But he has a pretty good sniper for having a 3-speed operator. He has the ability to see through smokes if he stands still. Glaz is a lot better in the sense that he's a 3-speed now. He has a bearing 9 sidearm, so you don't have to just rely on the sniper like you don't have to do with Callie, which was one of her main appeals, is she had that secondary sidearm. So now pretty much any reason you'd want to bring Callie, you could bring to anyone else. So there are certain sites that are pretty good for her that you could be kind of useful. But even then, there's just better stuff to bring. So honestly, I'm just going to put her in okay. There's no situation where she's very good. So bottom of okay suits her pretty well. Top of okay suits Glaz pretty well as well. My next operator is Ella, and I'm going to put her in the bottom of good. She has very good gun selection. She has a deployable shield and 3 useful stun grenades. So the same reason that I'm putting Warden, Alibi, and Thorn in the good category is the same reason I'm putting Ella there. She's just an annoyance, but also brings utility to the team and is still very frag capable if you want to get frags with her good guns. So Ella, she's good. She's alright. Maestro, has to be one of the most useful solo queue operators in the game that gets almost zero playtime. It kind of surprises me how little people play Maestro. But you could play him every single round and be extremely useful. Consulate is a great Maestro map, so if you want to get good at Maestro, start playing maps like Consulate, start playing maps like Chalet, where his cameras can be put in high pressure situations and constantly be an annoyance. He has so much utility denial, he has so much drone denial that you could use, he has a great LMG with almost zero recoil, he brings a bailiff for sight setup just like Alivar, just like Smoke. Smoke doesn't bring a bailiff, but he brings a shotgun. And he has barbed wire / impacts. So again, a lot of utility and a lot of utility denial in one operator with a great gun. You could bring him every single round and be extremely useful and extremely annoying. So I'm going to put him in every round. I know that's kind of an unpopular opinion, but I think you should start playing around with Maestro if you don't think he's in every round and really learn that he's actually pretty good. Like I said when I was talking about with Ash, Zofia has a 150 round LMG. I don't think y'all realize how fucking busted that is. Like, that is insane. If you watch anybody that's good with LMGs, all they do is pre-fire, right? Especially on Finka. But she has 50 more rounds than Finka. So you can literally just hold M1. You can literally just hold your mouse down the entire round and get free kills, because they can't shoot you back in the middle of a pre-fire. I mean, they can, but you're gonna be dead in the meantime. She brings 2 stun grenades. She brings 2 impacts, so already a lot of utility clearance. And then she brings either claymores or breaching charges for even more utility. She's insane. Not to mention the versatile scopes that come on her LMG. Like, she's amazing. You can pick her every round and be useful. But again, there's always going to be more useful operators and just better fraggers like Yana or like Finka that are just going to provide more utility that is more useful. So she could still be picked every round. Twitch, I'm going to put in good. I think I might have put her in okay last tier list, but I've gotten an appreciation for the F2 with the 1.5 scope on. She can be a very, very good fragger, but also her Twitch drones can do a lot, especially if you have her elite skin that has like the camouflage Twitch drones, dude. I fucking hate those. They're so annoying. But she can break Goyo canisters. She can get a lot of utility if you sneak her drones in while your teammates are in a gunfight somewhere, and can be just as useful as Flores. Not as useful, but she can be pretty damn useful. So I'm putting her in good, maybe the top of good, somewhere around there. I think you should start playing Twitch. Osa, I don't want to put in every round because she's very easily counterable and is only very useful in the hands of a very good Osa player, but she definitely deserves the top spot in the good category. She has 2 see-through shields. She has very, very good guns. PDW, 50 round mag, 1.5 times scope, 0 recoil. Thermite's gun, which is literally just Sledge's gun, but with better specs. Like, it's literally the exact same gun and a wide variety of scopes. She also brings claymores, so if you break your shield and you put a claymore behind the shield that can't see the claymore, you get free kills that way. And is like Monty and Blitz in the sense that you can just take so much space and have so much free intel by just playing an operator. But the difference is she also has guns. So Osa, very, very, very good. And there's a reason that people ban her on very gun skill heavy maps like Coastline, because again, she can make it very easy to take gunfights and take information and take space very quickly. And then I'm going to talk about the shield operators. So all 3 of these shield operators have different places in my tier list, because yes, they are shield operators, but their shields do very different things, and hence you're going to play them very differently. So Monty, I think, is actually very good. You aren't going to have Monty every round because there are some sites where you need 5 different operators in order to do anything. Clubhouse is one of those maps where you need a set 5 of different players in order to win any round. It's like that on defense as well. So you're not going to find room for a Monty in a lot of places unless you're really roam clearing. But Monty, if played correctly, can take so much space because they can't shoot you back, and you're always going to have somebody refragging you. So if you want to flush out roamers, you want to take space on the map very quickly, Monty's extremely good. And if you're constantly giving callouts and you know how to play around your shield and you know how to use a pistol, he can be extremely terrifying to go against, especially because in ranked, a lot of people don't know how to counter him, and people that are very gun skill heavy can't shoot a Monty in the face. It's one of those things where it's like, I exist so you don't get to play the game or have fun. It's the same thing as Ying. A very good Monty player can wreck shop. And then I'm going to put Blitz in situational. I put him in bad on my last tier list, and there's a reason I'm putting him in situational for this tier list. The reason I put Blitz in situational is because there are certain maps where he can be used in coordination with your team very well. Oregon is a great Blitz map on basement. You see pro league teams ban or play Blitz on this site. What people do is they play elbow with smoke and they have a shield right there and they just sit and they throw their smoke grenades out. They contest it with their shotgun and their SMG-11. Then they take their shield back up, reinforce the wall, and they just wasted like 2.5 minutes of the round with no punishment. Blitz completely counters this because you can just run at the shield and through the smokes, blind the smoke, kill the smoke, and now you have elbow. It's a really common strat in Pro League, believe it or not, and can be extremely useful in ranked because people aren't used to seeing a Blitz and they just don't know how to counter him a lot of times. So Blitz is very fun to use, but he's only going to be really good if you have a teammate behind you, if you're coordinated with smoke grenades, and if you know how to play Blitz correctly. So he's not bad. There is a time and a place for him, but just not often. And then Clash, I'm kind of split on putting her in between okay and bad, but I'm gonna put her in okay. Clash is like Capcan or like Knock in the sense where it's just one extra thing to think about. It's just one more annoyance. She's not extremely good, but people just ban her because she's annoying and people don't really want to deal with her or know how to deal with her. So she's just annoying, but at the base level of her operator, she's just not very good. She's easily counterable if you know how, and there's always going to be better operators to bring than her. Frost I'm going to put in the bottom of good. This is just because she brings, again, that deployable shield. She brings the shotgun for setting up sight. She also brings a gun with a 1.5. And she brings 3 traps that, especially in higher elo, people are not going to be looking for. And if you switch up where you're putting the traps every single round, and you're putting them in unconventional spots, people are not going to expect her, and you're going to get a lot of value off of her. 0, I'm going to put in the top of okay and the bottom of good. I haven't really decided where yet. I think I'm going to put him in okay. I have sworn by 0 for years since the day he's come out, but he's one of those operators where it's very good in theory, but not good in practice because of how hard his gadget is to use. First, you have to shoot it, and when you shoot it, it makes a lot of noise and it shakes the entire map, and then it's easily able to be spotted because of the yellow light that's flashing on it, green light, whatever. And even then, it's just a camera with one little taser on it, which is okay, but by that time, the defenders have probably shot it already. And that's the one thing that keeps 0 from being extremely meta, is people just shoot his cameras. There are certain sites where he can be very useful and people can't shoot his cameras because they're hard to see, like Bank, where there's a lot of open space, a lot of dark corners, and a lot of space that you can take with this camera. But a lot of times he's not really that useful. So actually, I'm going to stick him in situational. I think he's situational because when he is used correctly, he's very, very good, as he has 4 almost unseeable cameras that can watch flanks, that can get intel, that can go through walls, and that have a taser on them. So like I said, in theory, amazing, but only good on certain sites. Vigil, I'm going to stick in good. Good guns. Good gadget for roamers if you know how to use it correctly. Always going to be a presence to be reckoned with. And he's just really simple to play. Really easy to pick up. So he's just good. I'm going to say Mozzie for the exact same reason. Drone denial. Very good guns. Very easy to play. And if put in the hands of a right player, can be extremely useful. Now, Capitao, I want to put in good. And I think last tier list, I might have put him in okay, maybe even situational. But I've come to have a really good respect for Capitao just because of what he's able to do. I made a Capitao guide, which I'll actually put in the top right here. But his smokes are extremely versatile, as wherever you shoot them, they're going to stick. So you can make one-way smokes. His smokes are also, I think, larger than normal smoke grenades. I don't know if that's true. They do last a lot less time, but his firebolts are what make him extremely useful. As you can flush out defenders that are sitting in corners that are wasting time, you can completely flush them out. And then you can get somebody that's holding an angle to shoot them once they move. So a great example of a good Capitao spot would be Rafters in Clubhouse. Why is he useful on Clubhouse? Well, he can completely clear Rafters with his firebolts, and then have somebody that's on the door, on the CC window, on the breach that can completely just shoot somebody that's sitting in the corner once they're firebolted out. You're not going to get a lot of damage or kills off of the firebolts. It's just meant to flush out people from where they are so that you can then refrag. He also brings a very good gun selection. His LMG is amazing with a 1.5 times scope, a great amount of damage, and a good ammo size, but the fire rate's kind of iffy, so do what you will with that. But Capitao is just always going to be useful if you play him correctly. He brings 2 hard breaching charges as well, which can really just open up solo play and versatility with the operator, so I'm going to put him in good. Gridlock is situational. People think Gridlock is really bad, but I don't think she's that bad. I think you just don't know how to play her. Most people say that she's just a worse version of Nomad because they only think she's able to hold flanks, which isn't true. Gridlock is meant to lock off a grid of a certain portion of the map, hence the name Gridlock. So Cafe and Villa are two great examples of good gridlock spots because the nomads and the air jabs are easily shootable on Villa, and so gridlock on a staircase can completely shut off the attackers from flanking staircases, and they make a loud sound cue whenever they're destroyed, so you'll know if they're flanking, just like the nomad air jab makes a loud sound cue as well. And then you'll have all three of the staircases locked off, and you'll still have one for sight. And this is where gridlock shines. If you put gridlock tracks in sight and you completely lock off rotations, you completely lock off pathways, it makes it a lot easier for you to plant. With her LMG and her smoke grenades paired with it, she can be a force to be reckoned with and a general just annoyance that the defenders have to deal with. And I think she's extremely underrated, and she's purely situational because she's only really good on certain sites like that, as opposed to Nomad being a must pick. Goyo, I want to put in okay. I don't think Goyo is very good. I think his fire gets in the way more than it's actually useful ever. He's good for late round denial. If people are pushing you and pushing sight in the last 30 seconds, then you activate his Goyos and they just don't get to walk in. But most of the times, it doesn't get down to that in ranked. Maybe in comp it does, but in ranked, people are hitting the site with a minute left into the round. And his fire just makes it so where you can't rotate or flank as easily because it lasts so long. So I don't really like Goyo. There's always going to be a better option, which is Smoke, and he's just kind of okay to me. Blackbeard's bad. He brings fuck all utility to your team, and his shield, you literally just click it and it's gone, and he only has 2 of them. His gun selection is pretty terrible, so there's always just going to be better operators. Never pick Blackbeard. Oryx, I have kind of a mixed opinion on Oryx. He can be good, but only on certain maps, and even when he is good on certain maps, he's just okay. So I think I'm just going to stick him in okay. He has a Bailiff, which is amazing. He can make rotates. He can completely deny shield players. He has a 1.5 on a T5 SMG. So he's always going to provide some sort of use, so I don't think he's situational. But there's always just going to be better operators to play, which is why he's not good. So I'm going to stick him in the okay category. Jackal can be played every round. I don't want to say he's a must pick because you can always clear out roamers with pure gun skill and droning, but he's still very good. He has a very good gun selection. He's able to the most efficiently clear out roamers as opposed to, let's say, a Dokkaebi or a Lion, and he's just always going to be good if you pick him, but he's banned most of the time, so I want to get y'all used to picking these operators over this one just as kind of like a safety net. But every round, Jackal's pretty good. Azami's in the good category. She's not a must pick. There's always going to be operators that you're going to want to pick over her. She's not an every round pick because, again, there's always just operators that are better than her, but she can be very good and annoying, just like Castle can, but she's more versatile and you can put her on any side on any map and her still be useful. I think she has a very okay gun selection. A lot of the times people don't know how to play Azami and it gets in the way more than it helps, but her gadget is extremely useful, extremely versatile, it's bulletproof, and I think she's extremely good. Just there's always better stuff to play. And then Sens. Y'all are not gonna like my take on Sens. I don't think Sens is very good. He's not bad. He's not situational because you can play him on every site. Some sites you can't really use his walls because they get in the way, so you can use him to roam clear. You can use him to take space, so he's not situational. But the hitbox on his gadget is fucking atrocious, dude. You can't throw this thing through drone holes or doorways or corners reliably because the hitbox is the size of a basketball, but this thing is the size of a hockey puck. So in theory, he's almost an every round pick, but in reality, he's only like okay. He's not very good. He just is in the way and more annoying than he is useful, and you can do his job but with smoke grenades and it do the job better. Also, his gun, extremely hard to use, not very good in general. So I just think Sens is okay. There's nothing really to it other than that. His hitbox is just bad. If they fix the hitbox on his gadget, I would honestly put him at the bottom of every round or the top of good. But right now, he's, again, one of those operators that's just good in theory, bad in practice. With that out of the way, that's pretty much everything for the tier list. Again, this is for ranked, it's not for competitive. If I made a competitive tier list, it would be completely different, which if you want to see, let me know down in the description. Competitive is a completely different game than ranked is. So I'm gonna have a lot of different things switched up. Also, this isn't a solo queue operator tier list, this is just a ranked tier list. So if you want a solo queue operator tier list, again, going to look very different. So keep those things in mind with this tier list. But that's pretty much it. If you like the video, like it. My name's Alka. Don't forget to sub to the channel. And I'll see you in the next one.